Southern California, AM 1220 KHTS. Your host, Fred Arnold, on the Santa Clarita Valley Chamber of Commerce Business Spotlight. I'm joined this morning by Jon Gardner. Jon Gardner is with JSG Insurance and very involved with the Santa Clarita Valley Chamber of Commerce. When I was the chairman, you were always volunteering, always being involved.
Still on the board today. Yeah, well, still involved.
Welcome to the show again.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Now, things have changed for you. You were with farmers.
That's right. I was a farmer's agent, as an agent for farmers. I left about a year and a half ago to become an independent broker, which basically allows me to represent multiple companies instead of just representing one company. Now I can do better for my clients by representing multiple companies.
And so that was one of the major shifts that you had when you did that, was the difference between, and maybe you might have highlighted that already, between a broker and a single entity.
Really an agent works with a company like State Farm, Farmers, Allstate.
And they're good too, right? Because you did it for 11 years.
I did it for 11 years. They're great companies. They do really well for their clients. They have great products. But for me, what I wanted to do is I wanted to do something a little bit different. I didn't want to be beholden to just one company and what they were offering. I wanted to be able to work best for my client. And to do that, by becoming a broker, I'm working with about 10 to 12 companies for auto and home insurance and about 40 to 50 companies for business insurance and workers' compensation insurance.
It probably allowed you to diversify a little bit or go deeper maybe with some of your customers?
It allows me to go deeper, but what it allows me to do is give my customers the right coverage that they might need, or find a company that not only gives them the coverage they need, but in some cases helps them with the pricing as well. And let's face it, pricing with insurance is very important.
It is important. It's one of your major expenses that you have in life.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Let's talk about mistakes people make when it comes to buying insurance.
Probably the first mistake, we're talking about this pricing, the first mistake people make is looking right at the bottom line, just looking right at the price and going, oh, this insurance must be better, it's cheaper. And they'll make a move without understanding what the coverages are. One of the things that we try to do is we try to do a side-by-side coverage analysis for you, so when you look at it, you can say, all right, it's cheaper, but I'm giving up this, 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 and this. And without being able to look at it side by side, you really don't know what you might be giving up. And so the mistake people make is again, by looking just at the price and not understanding truly what coverages might be available or what they might be giving up.
That is fantastic to look at, because not only do you look at the bottom line, you look at all the goodies. You look at all the benefits. What do they call those? All the little extras.
Like endorsements and things like that.
Endorsements, thank you.
Yeah, perfect example. Like there's some companies out there that give you guaranteed renewal. No matter what happens to you, they're going to renew your policy even if you have losses. Well, that's a good thing to have. Or other companies that give you things like if you lease a car or buy a car and there's a gap in the coverage between what the car is worth and what you might still owe on the car. There's companies that cover those sorts of things. But if you don't know that or have a conversation about it, you won't know if you're missing those kinds of items.
And I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball to Jon, because I've known him for a while. I'm going to rapid fire some questions.
Okay.
And just some tips.
Okay.
Auto insurance.
Probably the biggest thing is looking at your liability limits. Those are the things that's the coverage that when I run you over and you sue me, that's the coverage that I have to protect me. I would never do that.
I did get run over when I was in 10th grade.
Well, I hope that person had good insurance, but you turned out okay. But really, the important thing about that, and the thing that people don't realize, is you can really increase your coverage, because somebody can sue you for a lot of money. You can really increase your coverage, and it's minimal cost. So that's one of the things we like to
Not very expensive. Throw out there underinsured or uninsured, but underinsured insurance. That's something I learned recently. Not only do you buy uninsured motors,
Correct.
but sometimes underinsured.
Right. So now you're going to return the favor and you're going to run me over.
Right.
Okay. And let's assume for the moment you don't have enough insurance to pay the damage you do to me.
Right. I don't have. I have 1530.
You have the minimum state limits, because that's what was sold to you because you bought on price. You run me over. I have underinsured motorists to take care of that difference to make sure that I'm going to be whole again. So basically that's what's protecting me and my family, and it's a very important coverage. Also, very, very inexpensive to increase that for literally maybe a couple dollars a month to increase it to an adequate limit.
Huge.
Absolutely.
Especially if someone's really underinsured, there's a good chance they don't have a lot of assets because they went for the cheaper policy because of their financial situation. Something you got to look at. Let's talk about homeowners insurance. Some tips on homeowners.
Probably the biggest thing on homeowners insurance that we look at are people don't think about things like their valuables, jewelry, other items. They might collect art. They might have a baseball card collection, stamp, coin collection. A lot of those things aren't covered for very high limits without adding extra endorsements to them. So people again think, oh, I'm fully covered, everything is good, and they may find out they have $2,000 for jewelry. Well, if there's a theft at your house, that's not the time you want to find that out.
Yeah, what the minimum is on that. What about liability when it comes to that? There's a mix between having enough liability for the homeowners and having enough liabilities for your auto.
Right.
Is there versus having an umbrella policy?
Right. So what we look at, and you brought it up, is the assets. Because realistically, the more assets you have to protect, and it's not only your assets to protect, it's really also wages. Because in California,
future assets.
Right? Because in California, they can attach up to 30% of your wages. So we want to look at that and make sure that that balances with the amount of liability that you take. You mentioned an umbrella, for example. An umbrella goes over both the auto and home and gives you a higher level of coverage that you might need to reflect your assets. And looking at the home side, we look at things like if you have a teenager in a pool, I'm going to look at that and say you probably need more liability than the single mom who's at home with a 2-year-old daughter.
Right, and a good gate around it.
There you go. Absolutely. Good fence. Absolutely.
Life insurance.
Life insurance is one of those things that there's no real tips.
And you need to be educated on it.
There's so many types of life insurance. I think people are fearful because they don't understand the different types. And we don't have time to go into all the different types, but talk to an insurance professional. Every insurance professional out there is willing to go over and explain the different types and help find one that's right for you. And what you may find out is very minimal coverage, or very minimal cost to protect yourself.
John, I was going to ask you what's made you successful over the years, but I think your knowledge. I think that's one of the things that I've appreciated about you, and the fact that I think if someone's going in for a minimal insurance policy with you or someone that's got a big estate, you'll spend the time with them.
Right. Well, what we want to do is we want to educate. That's what we do. We don't sell insurance. We educate people and realistically hope they buy insurance from us is kind of the way we approach it. And that's the way we've always done it. It's helped us be successful. And it's just what allows me to feel good about what I'm doing with the people I work with.
John, thanks for coming in again. Those who want to reach out to you?
Best way to reach out to us is our phone, which is 661-388-5288. And you can also find us on the internet at www.jsginsurance.com.
You can also find John at the most recent chamber event.
Any chamber event, I'm typically there.
He's
Absolutely.
always there, yep.
Absolutely there.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed listening to Jon Gardner from JSG Insurance Services and this edition of the Santa Clarita Valley Chamber of Commerce Business Spotlight. This is host Fred Arnold on AM 1220 KHTS.